inspiring thing because kind of go through such a hardship and you still come out on top at the end of the day. And as high school students, especially in this club, we're all aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners in the future. But we're likely to start our businesses 10 to 15 to 20, maybe even 30 years from now. And the economy is changing very fast. It's changing digitally to things like NFTs, stock trading, online banking. By the time we're ready to start our own businesses, where and how do we fit in?
Well, I think it's a great question, and I think it's one to don't sell yourself short. I think that some of you in this club will probably be in 2 to 3 to 5 years starting a business, because the truth is you don't have to have 4 years of college and 2 years of grad school and 3 years of a PhD in order to be qualified to start a business. If you have a good idea and you have some foundational principles that you've learned through this club and other places, you could start that side hustle right during college or even now in high school and start to generate revenue and try that experience of creating a business. So I think you fit in as soon as you're ready to fit in, number one. But as you look to the future of business and how anyone could fit in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it's hard to predict the future. I don't think anyone really predicted that we'd be in the place where we are now, where we're wearing masks and online all the time in business. And it's probably like this for a couple more years, frankly, like ebb and flow.
Definitely.
So if you look 5, 10 years from now, we're going to move more and more towards digital, which means that the skills of human interaction are going to be more and more valuable. That if you're going to have a product, it's not just about the product, but the experience the product lends itself to. Remembering that business and selling is oftentimes about emotion and how people connect to what it is you're selling. And so how is your idea or your business connecting to people? How are you emotionally connecting to them? And how do they experience what you have to offer in a way that makes them want to talk about you and celebrate you and share you in whatever way we do that in the future, whether it's through the next social media platform that we haven't even heard of yet, or some other, those microchips that we just translate without even saying anything to each other.
And regardless of what time zone we're in, and I know you touched on this previously with communication being a really important skill for entrepreneurs, but what are some other intangibles and qualities that you think every entrepreneur absolutely needs?
Now, you have to have commitment, and you have to be able to know that even when things dip, that there is something on the other side of that dip. Usually it's an ascent, and those mindsets of like stamina, perseverance, and being able to know that there is opportunity to work towards is going to drive you. But it also has to be rooted in reality, that you can make decisions as you start that allow you to be resilient. Making sure that you're not, if you make a lot of money, you don't spend a lot of money.
Right.
That you keep that in reserve until you actually show a consistent measure of revenue generation, so that you're not caught when it dips. Right. Like, oh no, now I don't have any revenue to invest in the company. So making sure that you plan for things being uncertain and able to persevere through that uncertainty because of the planning you undertook.
Right.
And so that's what we call resilience. And here's the challenge, that entrepreneurs by nature are risk takers. And risk takers oftentimes say, oh, that's not going to happen to me. So, I'm going to be successful. I'm not going to have a lawsuit because of, someone tripping in my building. Right. Or I'm not going to have, my identity theft stolen. That's somebody else's issue. That denial and that sort of entrepreneurial spirit of like, I'm a risk taker and I can survive, means that we sometimes don't plan ahead enough. And so really take a moment to think about what are the 1 or 2 things you can do as someone thinking about entrepreneurship, someone starting a business, that would set you up in case you hit a bump in the road. What makes you more resilient? How do you double down? How do you make sure you have backups? I mean, even simple as like, everything's on my computer. Someone steals your computer. What happens? Everything's on the cloud. And what happens if you forget the password and can't get, like, what are the backup systems you have to make you more resilient? Those are the things that I think about that entrepreneurs need in order to be successful in the long term.
And what about when you're hiring someone? When you're looking to add a member to your team, what are some qualities that you look for in those people?
Sure, this is really important because it's not always about the skill. It's usually about the attitude and the personality and the values that person has. You can teach someone who has an eagerness to learn almost anything, but you can't teach usually like personality.
Right.
You have to have someone, you need to find people who are not like you, but have skills that complement what you have and can be in service of your mission as a business. And those are some key qualities that you look for in employees. It's also like not finding people that make you feel good, because it's not always someone who makes you feel good that you want to have working for you. You want to have people
that challenges you,
that
hold you accountable,
but also are just going to do work. like
Right.
that are going to be hard workers and are going to do things in a way that gets things done as long as it sort of meets the vision, but they don't have to be like your best friend. And I think that's a really important, especially as young people starting out. There's a temptation to work with people that are friends and start co-found things together. It oftentimes becomes challenging, and then you end up sometimes not friends anymore or business partners.
Mhm. So at the end of the day, the most important thing is a good attitude.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And I think honestly, the communication comes to play too.
Yeah,
You've got to be able to have that communication skill.
most definitely. And what do you think is the most important thing a high school student should know if they see business in their future?
I would say don't wait. Find a way to connect now, right? That whether it's getting even the job in a place that you hate is a job that helps you understand what you don't like for the future. And then my first job, besides working for my parents, like when I was a kid, like working with my
Right.
parents, I got a job in a couple retail stores just to get experience outside of my parents' business in retail because that's what their business was, and I wanted to
Right.
know what corporate chains did and how they treated their employees. I wanted to know what that service sector was like, and that helped me know for the future that that wasn't something I wanted to spend a lot of time in.
Mhm.
And so, if there's an opportunity for an internship or a job, even if it's not your ideal, if you want to be the CEO of a technology company and you can't get an internship at Google or Facebook or Snap this summer in Los Angeles, but you could get an internship at some industrial metal developer in the San Gabriel Valley. Do it, because that internship will teach you so much about what they did that you could apply it to whatever you're going to do because of that experience. You can't replace experience, even a bad one.
Okay. And now moving into the next section of this interview, it is about the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Because all of us, we all go to school across the street, but I'm sure 90% of us don't know what the Chamber of Commerce is. As the president, can you give us a rundown about what the Chamber of Commerce does and what it's about?
Sure. So, this Chamber of Commerce, like most chambers of commerce, is focused on growing the business community within, in this case, the San Gabriel Valley, Alhambra, particular. And so we have members that we serve. So businesses can join of any size. They join, and then as members, we represent their interests to the city, to the county, to the state. We advocate for them. We take positions and sort of policy positions on key issues that affect businesses. We do work to attract businesses and support their growth within the city through marketing and skills training. We use this chamber in particular. We have a newspaper that we put out every month, and we promote our businesses and our business positions. We also provide technical assistance should a business have an issue with an agency, or just generally like, hey, we're looking for a better bookkeeper, or we need a better marketing plan, or so we'll connect them to resources or provide them for free if we have access to them. So all those things generally are what the chamber does. We also work to create a stronger community in Alhambra through special events and other programs that allow the community to come together. So we produce the annual Lunar New Year Festival here in Alhambra. We also produce the Rose Court Lunch that celebrates the annual Rose Parade entry of the city, and other sort of activities that brings the community together.
Right. And I know a lot of cities have a Chamber of Commerce, and I don't know if you had a choice, but what made you choose Alhambra? Was it the diversity that you saw in the community? Was it the overwhelming nonstop of Main Street? What made you choose Alhambra?
So in a way, Alhambra chose me, and that's part of it as well. I had started working here. My business initially was based in the San Fernando Valley, and I was working though out here with some clients and got to know Alhambra and got to know the council members here. I got to know the Chamber of Commerce here, the leadership, the staff. I got to know business and property owners, and I got to know community members. And I said, this is a community, Alhambra, that yes, it's part of Los Angeles, right? 10 million people in the county. Yes, part of the San Gabriel Valley, more than 1 million people here. But really, Alhambra has a real pride of identity. It knows who it is as a community, and people feel that Alhambra pride. And I said, I want to be a part of that with people who care about their community. And how can I help shape and lead that in a way to make my expertise around community sort of come to bear to support the growth and vitality of the economy and the community of Alhambra.
Definitely. And we're very glad to have someone like you come to Alhambra, because it's going to definitely take this city to new heights. And as the president, I know you touched on your goals in the previous answer, but can you go into more depth about what your goals are for this community especially?
Well, I think, first of all, you have to recognize that Alhambra today is one of the most diverse communities in Los Angeles. We have a demographics that span ethnicities from Latino to AAPI to white to Native American, even very small percentage. And so with all these groups, we have a diversity here that's to be celebrated. And I think the more we can amplify the various voices and realize that all of them, whether in business or community, are really working towards the same thing, which is a stronger, vibrant community where people can belong, where they feel like this is my community, my home. I may have just moved here, or I may have lived, my grandparents may have moved here, and I'm the third generation. This is a community that has a lot to offer, and we just want to amplify that that's positive and bring folks together who may not always understand different opinions or different backgrounds, and try to help foster a stronger sense of community that then allows for businesses to thrive that are diverse as well.
That's absolutely right. But even though, Alhambra has a lot of bright sides, the pandemic still has had a massive effect on Alhambra's economy, and especially on a lot of small businesses. They were forced to shut down because of the struggles that the pandemic's brought. How can the Chamber of Commerce help the small businesses in Alhambra during this pandemic?
Yeah, it's a really challenging place. We did a lot of work, and actually even now, here we are in January of 2022, and we're doing it again. We're calling all of our members and all the businesses that we have contact information for and saying, what do you need? Where are you right now? And some of them we call and say, hey, you know what? Things are okay. They're picking up. But we still hear from folks that what they need more than anything is more advertising, more capital, right? More cash to be able to survive, the slump. And though the government did a great job, the federal government of the payroll protection program, the PPP grants, where people could apply, a lot of small businesses didn't have employees. A lot of them were, they might be a mother, a husband and wife and their kids running the business. And so they didn't have a payroll. They just had their family income. Right. And so they didn't qualify for the amount of money necessary to keep things going. And so it's really about identifying funds that can be supported, whether it's low interest or no interest loans or other grant programs for small businesses, or sometimes just that marketing or boost to say, how do we bring more customers to the small businesses? Here's the challenge. Not every business has the same customer base, right? So some restaurants might be attracting a younger generation, whereas other restaurants may be attracting a more older generation. And so you can't market them the same way. So our job at the Chamber to help these small businesses is to understand the business segments that are the customer base for the various businesses, small businesses, and try to attract them through programming or other direct marketing that'll bring them to the city and have them walk through the door and actually spend money in the small businesses.
I'm speechless. I mean, that was such a great answer. I don't know how to segue this, but that about wraps up the interview for today. And I definitely learned so much, and I'm sure the club did as well. And but before we end, is there any last message or piece of advice that you want to leave with the young entrepreneurs of Alhambra High School?
Yes, young entrepreneurs of Alhambra High School. I would say that when things have settled down and we're outside of a pandemic and we're able to be together in person, I really, the open invitation, please come over to the Chamber of Commerce or call us or email us. Let us know how we can help you. If you have an idea for a business or a way to support a business, let us know. We're always open to being collaborative with students or individuals that are seeking to make a difference in their community, especially through the business community. So our door's open. Just make sure you call first or email first, and wear a mask when you come in. And we look forward to working with each of you as the year goes on and into the future.
All right. And thank you again for your time and consideration to come help us today. And I definitely look forward to working with you more often in the future.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right.
Cut.